They're being surrounded by friggin' UFOs.
Toward the day when climate change could be irreversible.
Rising sea levels already altering this nation's coast.
China's capital is choking in its worst pollution of the year.
5% of species will become extinct.
Sea levels rising, glaciers melting.
Enough is enough. Catastrophic climate change, biosphere collapse, and a global energy crisis have been met with apathy, denial, and despair. Like clockwork, our corporate overlords present us with two untenable options. Submit to an Orwellian itinerary of energy rationing and population control, or ride the status quo into the abyss. Both sides are right, and both sides are wrong, which means both sides are missing a critical piece of the puzzle.
That was The Lost Century and How to Reclaim It. It's a documentary by Dr. Stephen Greer. I thoroughly recommend to watch it. So the documentary basically exposes how we've been lied to from major corporations that are major pollutants in our world, such as petrol, fossil fuel companies, the oil industry, and how unknown technologies, revolutionary technologies, are suppressed because they want to control the economy, which they have for the last century. So hope you enjoy. And let's go.
The government is protecting the industry, the oil industry, because they're in bed together. Tremendous amounts of contributions for politicians come from these huge companies, and these huge companies have been covering up for years what we're doing to the planet.
Today, we don't have so much big kingdoms. We have cartels. We have a whole set of cartels in an area, interlocking corporations, and behind this, we have a few people who are quite wealthy and who own most things. Any time we have a very powerful cartel or set of people that control a lot of things, that resists any means of changing its inflow of control and its inflow of funds and money.
So you can see why these huge industries cover up different technologies that might overtake them and change technology for the future. Here's a couple of them now. 0-point energy, or what Nikola Tesla calls radiant energy. It is the most profound and transformative gift that the quantum world offers us. The seemingly empty vacuum of space is actually a roiling sea of virtual particles fluctuating in and out of existence. All of those fluctuations require energy. If we could tap into this energy source, we would unlock a virtuality of unlimited reservoir of clean, free energy, which I might add, plenty of inventors have done in the past. The implications of free energy go far beyond bringing monthly electricity bills to zero or running a car without gasoline. Most of the cost of making everything, from growing food to building a skyscraper, is the energy, or pulling raw materials out of the ground. Basically, energy is the source of any industry. Shipping, processing, shipping again and again, and so on. If the cost of energy goes to zero, the cost of agriculture and manufacturing becomes negligible. Critical solutions like water desalination and air purification, both of which are prohibitively expensive due to energy costs. This would become viable, and we'd be able to make a free energy world with the new technology and save a lot of our wildlife and rejuvenate the earth that we stand on today. This is all possible. But this would mean the end of oil, gas and coal, as well as the centralized power grid and the global macroeconomic system, which will stop at nothing to protect the hundreds of trillions of dollars at stake.
What I discovered is that there were illegally run classified projects that have taken these technologies from people all the way back to Nikola Tesla. All of humanity has been enslaved into a paradigm due to the technologies that have existed for 100 years, but that have been sequestered and illegally confiscated or black-shelled by corporations and kept away from the public. That if we're going to empower ourselves and have a world to leave our children...
Lost 100 years of evolution on planet Earth. A true lost century. Huge progress was made in the 1920s as Nikola Tesla developed energy generation technologies that could power the Earth, drawing endless free energy from the so-called empty space around us.
So-called empty space isn't really empty at all. It's actually full of energy. So instead of being like kind of a quiet, empty lake, it's more like the froth at the base of a waterfall or something.
The amount of energy in a cubic meter of space-time was 10 to the 26th power. It's a 10 with 26 zeros behind it, joules per cubic.
And just to add, there has been over 100 inventors that have harnessed this energy in different ways, and they have all been assassinated or disappeared, and all their inventions have been confiscated.
And that's enough energy, even in a coffee cup, to boil all the oceans of the Earth completely away into steam.
The acronym Unidentified Flying Object is a deliberately obfuscating term, and what it really is an alternative energy and propulsion system.
They had a piece of, they thought was plexiglass, a rectangular piece of plexiglass, for years before they figured out it was the energy device for the craft. And it was connected in such a manner that this device could power a very small watch up to a city. Power was determined by what the demand on it was. And so each craft had one of these.
This report comes from a shadowy Pentagon department that was shut down in 2012.
The disclosure movement has been hijacked by people parroting the narrative and the script being written by these black projects. I would say 90+% of everything that's going to come out is false.
The most widely seen UFO right now is not alien, it's actually ours.
Early research into anti-gravity technology gained momentum in the 1940s, as Adolf Hitler poured tremendous resources into developing his secret weapon, the so-called flying bell. Once we acquired these technologies,
It's a great cover story for all kinds of criminal activities. Blame it on the aliens, right?
If we are being visited by interdimensional beings, we should know about it.
This has the big disadvantage of the truth being much more unbelievable than the fiction.
It's the crash retrievals that are the Rosetta Stone for solving the UFO cover-up.
The implications of this is the difference between extinction level civilization versus one that's going to take off to the stars.
To evaluate, to analyze.
Yes.
You can see these huge military corporations that are contracted by the American government and all the governments around the world have these technologies that have been hidden from us for a century. Even physicists like Dr. Gary Nolan aren't allowed access to these special projects.
100%.
100% again. Okay.
It's there. It's there. I mean, I can say this. I was working with a group about 7-8 years ago, and I literally got within a few weeks of gaining access to one of the objects. And when the people who didn't want us to gain access to it found out about it, they pulled some bureaucratic administrative tricks and snatched it away. First of all, how do you deal with the religions? Every one of these religions is going to basically look to whatever that is and say, okay, well, what do they believe? Right? We know that the Vatican is involved. I mean, and I'm working with people who are working with the Vatican to basically get them. They've already said, this is very arrogant, they've already said, well, of course they can be Christians. Of course they can have a Jesus. They can be saved. They have a soul. I mean, I think the opportunity is for us to worry about whether they think we're worthy of saving. On that note, it'll be over for now. Let me know what you think about our lost century and the hidden technologies that have been suppressed from us. Like, share, and subscribe. See you next time.